So we're gonna get started.
Okay.
Um, hey everybody, welcome to Negro Under Stress, Black Girl Tired Book Talk. Today on the podcast, we are honored to welcome a literary pen that has touched hearts across genres, from sultry contemporary romances to vivid paranormal worlds. AC Author has built a body of work that is both fierce and full of feeling. She is the mind behind the Donovan series, a storyteller whose passion and precision has helped redefine what Black romance and what interracial romance looks like on the page, with dozens of titles, a dedicated readership, and a legacy of showing Black women in all their powers, softness, and complexities. AC Author is not just an author, she's an era. Let's get into the magic behind the name.
Hey, that was a great intro. I just need to say, hey, I'm AC.
Well, I try to give y'all flowers when y'all come on the show.
Oh, thank you. I greatly appreciate that.
So let me ask you, what makes AC Author the author she is today? Like, can you walk us through the early beginnings of your writing journey? What was the fire that started it all?
Um, so my daughter, I have three children. I have my middle daughter, my oldest daughter. She was sick. She was
Mm,
about 3 or 4, and she ended up having to be homeschooled for a little while. Not by me, because that's not my ministry. But a tutor was coming to the house to um, to homeschool her,
mm,
and during that time, I'm gonna date myself a little bit here. So I had just gotten my first computer, and I needed something to do while she was doing her schooling. So
mm,
I went down and I just started writing this story. Now, a little bit more backstory to that. I used to do this. I used to write stories from around towards the end of my high school years,
mm,
because I was reading books. I was reading all of the books that came on my mother's double day subscription. They would just come to the house, and
mm,
it was free books. And I was like, oh, all I got to do is go get the mail and I can read these books. Now, granted, they were all books written by white women, but I read them because I love to read. This is what I do. And I felt like I had aged out of reading Sweet Valley High. Like I had read those 8 million times, and
mm,
nothing new was happening. Those twins were still nutty as they wanted to be. So I wanted the grown up stuff. So I started reading Danielle Steele.
mm,
Um, and when I would finish reading those books, I always felt like I wouldn't have written it that way. Like I would have done this or I would have done that. Like this don't make no sense. I could have just did this better. Um, but I never thought that at any point when I started writing those little stories and sharing them with the people in my job, it never occurred to me that I would become an author. That was not my goal in life.
mm,
Uh, I was going to be content with doing exactly what my mother told me to do: go to school, graduate, go to college, get married, have some
mm,
children. That's your life. And I was like, okay, well, that's your life, so I'm good with that. It can be my life too. But when my daughter got sick, and I was home with nothing to do for that time period, I just started writing this story. And the internet was new, and I started seeing these books, and they had Black people on the cover. And I was like, well, wait.
mm,
And it's not that I didn't know that Black people were writing books. Um, they weren't necessarily writing romances that I wanted to read at that time. And so online, I started seeing these um, arabesque books. And I was like, wait, what? They got Black romance here? So
mm,
I'm trying to find these books. Well, how can I buy these books? Like there was no Amazon at the time. So I'm trying to figure out, where I can find these books. And I'm in bookstores and I'm at flea markets and I find these books. And then I came across the website for Genesis Press. And
mm.
I was like, wait, I can order these books right here from online. Then I had Genesis Press books. And I'm reading these books. I said, well, I wonder what happened if I would submit this story. just on a whim, just like, well, I have this whole story here. Let me just go ahead and submit it. And I submitted it, and I got the call. It was about 10 o'clock one night. I had come back from the youth program at church, and Naomi Collin called me and made my first book offer.
Mm, damn.
Yeah.
So you have so many titles under your belt. Yet you're consistently keep the romance deep, emotional, and passionate without ever being too over the top. How do you balance the sensuality with storytelling without losing the emotional core?
The emotion really just drives the story for me. When I come up with an idea for a book, it's usually based off of some emotional story arc. I always get this is what they're going, these are all the emotions they're going to go through. This is what they need to go through to get to this point. So that is a very big part of the story for me. So I'm always really, really focused on making sure I hit all of those points with the emotion to bring it all on page. And that has taken so much time. From the first book that I wrote to now, it feels easier now. It feels like second nature. As soon as I sit down and start writing, I know exactly where I'm going. Well, I always outline my book, so I know exactly where I'm going. I know what to do. In the beginning, I was just writing, just flying by the seat of my pants. Like, I literally knew nothing. I failed English 2 years in because I was like, this class is boring, and I don't really understand why y'all keep thinking I gotta pass this class, because I don't. But I mean, I had to pass that class. I wasn't gonna graduate, but I really hated that class. So and like I said, it just never occurred to me that I would be a writer. I just sat down and started writing, and in the beginning, it showed, because when I would get edits back from the editor, I was like, the very first time I was like, it's too much red on this paper. Like, you're rewriting the whole thing. And they're like, no, baby, we trying to help you out here. Okay, if you say so. So now it's a lot easier for me. Now I can really pinpoint those emotions and really get them on the page.
Yeah.
When I go back and read, I know when it's missing. I know when I haven't done the whole job. And so I can go back and kind of plug in a little bit more.
So you've been on both sides. You're like traditional and you've been indie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the mindset difference between being published and going indie? What has each taught you about business and the craft?
They both taught me how to work when I don't feel like working, because it's the job. This is my job. This is what I do. In the beginning, all I knew was to be published. That's all I knew. And when my first two books were published and I started doing book events, then I started to meet other authors who were self-published. I would go to the Harlem Book Festival all the time. The very first time I went, we were like one of the last people to get in, and we just driving up to New York, and we got our little chair and tables in the back of the car, and we just pulled it out, and we really didn't have a spot because we were one of the last people, and we were just kind of like on the curb somewhere. And there were so many authors, and at one point I'm walking around and I'm looking, and they were like selling their book, and they were like, well, how much are your books? And I said, oh, well, on the back, the publisher said they're like $12. And they were like, no, we're selling ours for $5. And they were selling so many books, and I was like, how is this possible? But they could make the price because they were indie authors. And that was like my first introduction to, wait, I could be putting these books out on my own. So it took me a little while. Like, I'm telling you, I came into this industry knowing nothing. And I didn't have anybody to ask. Like, I just was like, I'm just going to do this. I was mailing stuff blind. Everything I did was a learning process. And and I don't call them mistakes now, because doing all those things is why I am where I am today. But I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish anybody have to be self-taught in this industry, which is why I'm always open to answer any questions that I can, because it was hard. Like, I was doing a lot of stuff that, looking back on it, I could have saved myself some time.
Yeah.
But all I knew was to be published. All I knew is this is what you do. The publisher puts your book in stores. This is how you do book signings. That's all I knew. So that's what I did for a really long time. And then Amazon came on the scene, and my agent at the time was like, I really want you to put something out on your own, to have something on your own, because, putting your books out on Kindle is really growing. So you should try it. She would always joke, and she's like, you have so many books just sitting under your bed. Take one out and put it on Kindle. And I did. That was 100 years ago. So I did.
100.
Hybrid. And at that point, I could see the differences. I could see, for me, the biggest value in being traditionally published is the distribution. I just cannot match the distribution that a publisher can. So that was, at that point, it started to be, my focus is, okay, then I'm going to do this from both sides, because I still want to be on the shelves in bookstores. As an indie author, I do get to write what I want. And I'm not saying that as in nobody edits my stories, nobody tells me anything like that, because I do still have a team that does that. But I get to write the stories I want without having to audition them first, without having to get your approval on what I can write. When I took Donovan's from Harlequin, it was so freeing to me, because I started the series in Harlequin. But by the time I got to like book 6 and 7, I was like, I just want this family to do so many things that I knew they weren't going to be allowed to do at Harlequin. So I was really excited to be able to just write those stories on my own.
I want to talk about the Donovan dynasty. How did you come up with them sexy ass motherfuckers that be knocking the back out of them motherfuckers and all that motherfucker shit? Because that damn Sears, what the hell? What the helly?
By the time, what I like about writing a series is the families, and being able to explore so many different personalities within the families. And one of the things I know about families is they're always going to be a lot of drama happening, a lot of different things going on. And so even though the series now is about, I want to say 21, 22 books long, I still feel like there's so much more to do. Like, there's so many more characters to talk about. There's so many more of those men in that family to talk about, and to have them do things. And I was saying to on a panel, I think at Black Romance Book Fest, I was saying that when I got to Cade and he just started randomly killing people, I was like, this is not what Donovans do. Like, sir, you outside the box. Donovans don't do this. And he was like, well, I sure do it. And I'm absolutely a Donovan. And so that's where we're going with this now. And I think that leap for me just shows how this family has evolved from where they started. And I think that's really important to me, to not ever feel like I'm writing the same story over and over and over. So I do really try to take a lot of time when I'm creating a character and figuring out what their arc is, to say to myself, am I getting ready to tell a different story? Because if I'm telling the same story, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time to write something that's not going to go out here and make me some money. If this is a story I already told, like, and don't get me wrong, I reread so many books. I read a lot of books. But I don't really want to sit and write the same book twice.
That's true. That's true. How do you keep up with the characters? Because the thing about with Black authors and writing Black characters, a lot of people don't understand that we're not a monolith. Hey, one. And two, you make sure that each brother and each side character has their own personality without overlapping each other to sound similar. How do you maintain that consistency within those type of characters and the books without overlapping each other?
In the beginning, I wish I would have known this in the beginning. I did not have a Bible The first
Mm.
15 books in that series had no Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard to just remember that stuff, because what I can't do is when I'm getting ready to write the next book, I can't go back and read all 15 books again. Like, I don't have that type of time. And I also don't have that type of memory. Like, we only getting older over here, and the memory is the first thing to go. Like, I can't just remember all the things. I have really good people who read for me, and they be remembering more stuff than I would. But at one point, after I did my first paranormal series, and I did like do a Bible for them because it was paranormal, and I really needed to keep all that world stuff together. I was like, you know what? I should have just had a Bible for the Donovans, because I was going into writing the Donovan Dynasty series, and I was like, I don't know who all these people are. Like, there were so many people. I had like this really raggedy kind of family tree, and I was like, this is not working. I don't, and I could feel myself like using a name that I had used before, and it would be just like a side character. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I have to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I did not start a Bible for the Donovans until book 3 in the Donovan Dynasty.
Book 3?
Book 3 in the Donovan Dynasty, Ridge's book. I started a Bible, and that's really in the whole timeline of the Donovans. That's like book 18.
God damn.
So I had to kind of remember stuff and then just start plugging stuff in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I did, though, one thing that just has been recently helpful is I'm doing a special release of the segment of the Donovan series called The Secret Son. And so that's 8 books out of the series that were at the end of the first series. And so I've had to go back and reread those. And so I've been tucking all that stuff in the Bible, because I'm like, oh, this is the time. Put all of this stuff in here. So before I go to the next Donovan spinoff series, I'll have a lot more information. So really, it's only by the grace of God that I haven't messed these people up, because I don't know.
I be looking at some of y'all be having these long series, and I'm like, how the hell they keep up with all these goddamn characters?
A lot of them start to be real people in my mind, and so I just remember things about them, about their personality. Like, I know Trent Donovan, who works all of my nerves, and I told him he wasn't going to be in any more books, and he still be showing up in people's books because he is so unruly. But I know that about him. Yeah, I know that part about him, and so when he does pop up in somebody else's book, I'm not all that surprised, because that's just what he does.
Yes.
That's just what he does.
So you write both contemporary and paranormal romance in those spaces. So what makes the paranormal world so intriguing to you, and how does world building in that genre differ from writing contemporary romance?
I actually love world building in paranormal much better, because it's freer. I literally can make up whatever I want. Now, I have to remember what I made up, so I can make it make sense later on. But I can make up whatever I want. Like, these people, these creatures, whatever, can be what I want them to be. And I don't have somebody, over my shoulder saying, oh, I don't think they can do that. Well, sure they can, because I created them. Like,
yeah.
You can tell they can't do it if I'm creating them.
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoy the paranormal, building the paranormal world more. But like I said, I also have to be mindful of all those details. I have to keep all of those details. Because I don't like to read inconsistencies.
Yeah.
I try really, really, really hard to make sure I know the things so that I'm not being inconsistent. And for paranormal, it is harder. It's harder to do that. Contemporary is just like, as long as it makes sense. Like, would this happen in the real world? Like, would this happen? Yes, it would. Okay, then I'm cool. Like,
now wait a minute, because sometimes y'all put stuff in there, and we be like,
that I have been reading some books lately, and I have been like, I don't know where this is happening. I don't know who is allowing this to happen, but they all need help. Like, this is some foolishness here. So I get that. I do. But for me, when I'm writing contemporary, as long as in my mind I can basically say, this could logically happen.
Mm-hmm.
Will it happen? Probably not. But logically, it could happen.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility.
So, as a Black woman in the literary world, do you feel it's harder for Black authors to rise beyond fame and into literary influence compared to their white counterparts?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely. Everything is harder for us. We've been told that all our lives. Everything is going to be harder, so you work harder. You have to be better. There are, unfortunately, always going to be forces that block us, or that try to block us. I'll say that try to block us.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I think some of the things that they feel like they're blocking, like I think some of the things that traditional publishing feels like they're blocking for us, they really are not. Because the one thing we are as Black women built to do is find a way.
Exactly.
We've been finding a way since we were enslaved. We find a way to do whatever it is we have to do to get where we need to be. So I think that despite the obstacles, we have to keep going. There are so many. There are insurmountable obstacles. And being on both sides of the industry, I've seen them all. I've felt them all. I get it. I get it. It's a daily struggle. And I don't claim to have it all together every day.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like, okay, why are we doing this again? Like, I'm so over this. I'm so over it. I had like a whole week of that the start of this year. I was like, I'm over all of this. All of it. I don't need another book out. I don't need to submit to another publisher. I don't need to wait and see if they're going to like what I'm writing. I don't need to wait and see if I get another book out. I was just really over it. I really was. But I think that fire inside, that passion, until that dies, this is what I do.
Yeah. So in your eyes, what is a Black woman worth? What is a Black woman's worth in a romance novel? Not just in love, but in how she's portrayed.
Oh, that's a hard question. It's like homework.
What? Oh my God! Not you. Not you too. Not you too. Hey, y'all gonna stop calling me the SAT question podcaster.
I thought you was gonna ask me, well, why did he shapeshift? Why he gotta be a jaguar? Like we were getting into detail. It's okay. It's okay. Ask the question again, because now I had to chit chatted. I forgot. I told you we only getting older over here. So.
Oh my God! I said, in your eyes, what is a Black woman's worth in a romance novel? Not just in love, but in how she's portrayed. What stereotypes still plague Black female characters?
So I want to say this, but I also don't really believe this. In the beginning, when I was writing, when I first started writing, when I was writing for like Harlequin and Genesis, there was a really we had to have really strong women. We had to have strong women. We had to have likable women. Those were the two things women always had to be: strong and likable. And a lot of times I felt like that would contradict here and there. But those were what they had to be. Now, I think that we have migrated into allowing these flaws, into not having this woman be the superwoman, being okay with her not being the superwoman, and having her still be worthy of love and worthy of respect. And so I think her worth in romance novels is to be exactly who she is. In that moment, to be exactly who she is. Not always going to be the cookie cutter that we have been used to seeing. And for me, sometimes as a reader, that's hard because I do like a stronger woman. I do. I was telling somebody just earlier this morning, I was reading a book and I was like, oh my gosh, she's not trying to help herself and I can't do it. I cannot keep going. She's not trying to help herself. What's happening? Like, you literally sitting here waiting for dude to help you, ma'am. Do something. Call somebody. Raise your hand. Like, I just need her to do something. But also, I know that that's a part of her character arc. And I was like, if you just keep on, you're going to see her grow. You're going to see her do something.
Yeah.
I'm almost at the end of that book. I ain't seen it yet. So I'm really irritated now that I sat here and read it, waiting for that, and it didn't happen. But that doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I know that I'm predisposed to think that way about female characters because this is how I started writing female characters. And so that's the blessing and the curse to being an author and a reader. I have these preferences because this is how I started writing. Yeah. So I learned all of these things in books, and I have to school myself to say, okay, but you know what? It can be different. Like it really can. And this book might really end up being good if you just chill out and let these people be. But I'm telling you, this one I'm reading now is not really turning out.
It's not doing it for you.
Finish because I'm almost done now, so I might as well keep going.
I hate a damsel in distress that can't even help herself. I cannot. I don't like it. I cannot stand it. I'll DNF a book so quick.
At least think about doing something to help yourself. Like even if you're thinking about it, then I know you got it in you. You gonna get there. It's gonna take you a minute, but you gonna get there. But she's not even thinking about it. She just really content.
It's one of those, bitch, stand up.
Right.
Stand up.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you.
God.
He's doing all the things. He is the hero. He's doing all the heavy lifting. Yeah. All of it. And she's so ready to just run to him and let him do it. And even now, at this point, he's like, all right, look, I need you to get yourself together.
Because he needs emotional support too.
I'm telling you, I got about an hour left in this book.
I
hope.
That book would have been sent back from whence it came. No.
Well, I like the narrator, so.
Okay.
Well, at least I can enjoy listening to the narrator.
So when people talk about like literary powerhouses, why does it often feels like the praise skips over Black authors unless it's in Black spaces, even when their catalog the impact is undeniable?
Because that's absolutely true. They are skipping over Black powerhouses unless it's in Black spaces. That's absolutely happening every day. And look, I know because I go to white events, I go to Black events, and I know, and that's one of the reasons why I started One Love Reunion is because I go to white spaces and I'm at these events. And even after all of these books I've written, I still stand in those events and feel like I'm nobody. I'm still in that space, having people look at me, having people come to my signing table and be like, oh, I've never heard of you. Well, tell me about your books. And look, I do not, even as long as I've been in this industry, I do not believe I have all the readers in the world. So you saying you've never heard of me is not necessarily going to make me feel offended. But for you to say it in a way that's like, I've never heard of you. I didn't even really know Black people are writing these books. Now that's offensive. And these crazy folks don't have enough sense to not say that.
Yes. Yes.
And so now I'm in this place where, I got to be nice. Because if I jump across this table, they're going to have me shackled real fast. And I don't necessarily want to be in jail. And so then I have to be nice. But to be in those spaces at this point in my career, and to still feel uncomfortable and not seen, it's hard. It's hard. Now, granted, I keep doing it. You know why? Because I deserve to be there.
Absolutely.
You don't have to want me there, but my money is green just like the next person. So if I'm paying my registration fee, I can be there. I do narrow down how many of them I go through because it's not necessarily good for my mental health. But I'm not going to not go at all. What you're going to do is run me away.
That
You
part.
you cannot buy the book. You cannot accept that black women can write books. You can do all of that stuff over in your little space. You can do all those things, but you're not going to run me away. So I still go to those events, but also I needed to have a place where not only did I feel comfortable, because it started out when I started doing events, it started out just being me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always nervous because I was like, people are not going to come and see just me. Like, I have to invite other people because nobody's going to come. So I started inviting other authors. And then it just became, this feels really good. Like, we feel really good here. We see each other. We know what we're doing. Um, we talk to the readers about our books, and the readers like seeing us. And so let's keep doing this. Let's keep cultivating this space for us.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. That's how One Love came to be.
And I think it's important for people to understand that it's not black people, even though we don't owe anybody any emotional labor or work when we explain things, but the explanation is very simple. Black people also need a safe space, because the one thing about us, we are the most hated.
Yep.
For no fucking reason.
For no reason.
We are the most hated. And if we are talented, if we are smart, if we are creative, we are hated.
Yep.
Because how dare you try to be in my space?
Be anything other than where we put you.
Exactly. Just because it's 20.
We brought you here, we put you in this box, and that's where we expected you to stay.
Exactly.
And every time we step out of that box, they hate us even more.
And especially, and I'm not even taking away from black male writers, because y'all get it too. But you got to understand, in the words of Malcolm X, the black woman is the most hated individual in the world. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what part of the African diaspora you are. Mm-hmm. You're black, you're hated. You're a woman, you're really hated. And don't be a smart woman.
For no reason at all.
Oh, go ahead.
I said just for no reason at all.
None. None. So when I see other black creatives in our space and they're saying derogatory things about us and we are the same, even though we're not a monolith, but we are both black, I feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Now
I sit back and I look at a lot of things on social media. I don't put a lot of opinions out there. I don't like a lot of discourse. I see it. Mm-hmm. But what really, really irritates me is when it's us. We're tearing each other down. And I come from the school of, look, you keep all of that stuff in the house. You do not take this out in the streets. And so we can disagree. We cannot like each other. We cannot like something somebody said. We cannot like how somebody looked. Mm-hmm. Why are we giving all of that to the world? They hate us enough. We do not need to be on social media hating each other.
Exactly.
And I don't care what it is. There are authors I might have problems with. There are influencers I might have problems with. But what you're not going to see is me doing a video. Well, first of all, because I ain't doing no video. Yeah, I'm going to put my book covers in CapCut, but you're not going to see me on the video. But I'm not going to be on here posting or doing a video.
Yeah.
Tearing another black person down. And they can be wrong, and they can be really wrong. Mm-hmm. But I'm just not going to do that. Not just because it's unprofessional, but also because it does nothing to help us. It does nothing to move us forward.
It pushes us back and put us back in that box. That crab in a barrel thing, that shit is not real. That's a stereotype given to us. And then when people do this shit, and that's what we fall into, that stereotype. And this social media age, everybody's trying to be famous on social media. Everybody's trying to get a like, a view, a viral moment. Yep. On the backs of their own people is trash.
It is.
Especially in the book space, because there are so many of us fighting so hard for black authors to get what they deserve. Not what's handed to them, what they deserve. So when we see stuff like this, it's so annoying. Y'all don't know how close I am to mollywhopping some of y'all because y'all mouths are reckless, but in the wrong fucking way.
In the wrong way, but it's because social media gives that freedom. You can pull up your phone and say anything, because you're not afraid of that person showing up at your door.
Because y'all better ask about Storm. I roll up to book events on your ass.
Like when we were in high school, it was like, all right, well, you're only going to say so much because after school, then there's nowhere to go. We right here. We all on this bus stop. It's about to be a whole thing on this bus stop. Now with social media, you ain't got to see these people. You don't have to see them. And so they get on here and they say all the things. Just tearing people down. And even outside of it just being us tearing us down, the negativity on social media is wild. If I didn't have to be on social media for the book stuff, I probably wouldn't, because it's wild.
It is. This is the Wild Wild West in these streets.
It is. You gotta be careful out here.
For real. But once again, I say, y'all can try to bully me. I'm about that life, for real. The internet has a lot of people on it, and it probably have your address. Quit playing with me.
Oh, well, yeah, it might.
Quit playing with me. Let me ask you this. What do you think is owed to Black literature that still hasn't been given, even with hard work and talent in the forefront?
I think we're still owed the same space. The same space on shelves, the same space in publishing houses, the same space in contracts. We are owed that same space. We're just as good, if not better, than so many white authors out here. And we're owed the same thing. We're owed that same respect. The way you're constantly telling us for years that our books don't sell. And then we turn around and independently publish this book, and this book sells. We're owed our space. We're owed our space, and we're owed our respect. And they keep not doing it. What they do now is they'll do it in piecemeal. Like, if we give it to one author we've given it to 2 Black authors. There are hundreds of Black authors.
Hundreds.
Who deserve the same space. They deserve that same respect.
Exactly.
But you refuse to see that. And the way that now I see that publishing is snatching up these independent white authors, their books and their series, because they've seen the numbers that they're doing, and they're snatching them up. And I'm like, I can name 5 just off the top of my head that you should have been snatched up that are Black, but you won't. You won't.
But they won't give y'all the money that y'all deserve either.
You won't. Absolutely not.
Look at what's going on with Shanora Williams. Like, look what's going on with Terry Benton J. Walker. Look how they are. Sold out.
Yep.
Award winning. No, not just in the Black spaces, but the white spaces. And they're both with publishing houses that are not pushing them to the level of their counterparts.
And when you call them on it, the answer is, well, we don't really know how to sell this book. We don't really know how to pitch this book. The same way you just pitched that white book. Like, you're making this so difficult, and it's not. And a lot of times we can tell you how to sell the book because we're selling it. We have to sell it. We don't have a choice but to sell it. So when I was saying that, one of the reasons why I was determined to be published was because I knew that this is the only way I was going to get distribution. And for a few years there, I was under the impression that they would do marketing. They absolutely did no marketing. And would quickly tell my agent, well, this didn't sell well. It didn't. You want to know why it didn't? Because you didn't do anything to sell it. And I can only do so much. Like, I can only go so many places on this little bit of money that you paid me. I can only travel to so many places to promote this book. But if you would give me the effort that you're giving the other 5 white authors over here, then maybe I can get those same sales.
I was just telling, because I interviewed Jessica Cage yesterday, and I was just telling her, like, I wish that traditionally publishing houses would stop putting y'all in Barnes and Nobles and put y'all in the indie bookstores.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was telling her, I said, I'm going to go to the joint here in Chicago and try to see if they would do a paranormal book tour for the authors at their store because they have the space,
Right.
but the traditional publishing houses are overlooking them to go to Barnes and Nobles, to
Yeah.
go to bigger indie bookstores, but they're not ran by Black people.
And they'll say that the reason for doing that is because those bookstores are reporting to the bestseller list. So they always want your book in a store that's going to be reporting to a bestseller list. So a lot of the indie bookstores that aren't reporting stores, they don't really care if your book is there or not. Now, if you say to them, "Hey, I want to do a pre-order special, and I want to do it, in this bookstore here," the first question they're going to say is, "Do you know if they're a reporting store?"
But my thing is, when you want to try to get those indie stores to be reporting stores, you know what I'm saying? Because I can guarantee if they took it upon themselves to get these indie stores as reporting stores, Black authors would dominate the New York Times best-selling list, the USA best-selling list. They would New York, everybody. They would dominate because the way the traditional public only see just one lens with things, and even with the Black authors, they sometimes want y'all to whitewash it.
Mm-hmm.
I It's beyond me. I fuck.
It's a lot. And I've said, over the years, like at this point in my career, I say a lot more in those meetings than I used to in the beginning. But they're always like the book. The first time I'm going back to paranormal from years and years. So that book comes out in December. But like we've had so many meetings, and in those meetings, I keep saying, this is what we need to be doing. This is where I need to be with this book, because this is where the readers are. And they're like, no, we can go here and we can do this and we can do that. I'm like, yeah, but that's where the white readers are. That's where the white readers reading fantasy are. And don't get me wrong, y'all can buy my book too. But I specifically wrote this for Black readers. Like I wrote this so that Black readers see themselves again, see us in this fantasy space. And you don't want me to go there. Like you want me to go here. Like basically saying, okay, this is where our money is going to take you.
But they don't even do tours for y'all, right? They attach y'all to white authors for a fucking tour. They promote the tour based off the white authors, and even if they don't have a white author attached to it, it must be at a bigger brand or a bigger book club. Not a small Black book club or a medium-sized Black book club or a POC club. You want them in these book clubs that we don't even know who the fuck they are.
Yep. And then we have to go and we're auditioning this book. Like I have to audition this book for you. I have to convince you to like this book. I have to convince you to read it and to like it. I have to prove to you that this is likable. And the very first thing they say is, yeah, well, I can't relate to these characters. Right. Because you feel like you can't relate to Black people. And so me sitting in this room with you, trying to tell you about my Black characters, and your answer is always going to be, I can't relate. Because you don't want to.
But okay. We had to relate to the Babysitter Club.
Yep.
Danielle Steele. All of them. We had to relate to Fabio of all goddamn things.
That's what we had. Because that's what we had.
Nora Roberts. I like these authors, but I don't see myself. I'm not no Irish white woman swinging Dixie on the fucking cliff tops. But I had to imagine myself as the character through the plot, not actually the character.
Yep.
For anyone to come into the Black book space, get a Black book. I don't care if it's street lit, urban fiction, paranormal, speculative fiction, whatever, and say, hey, I cannot relate to these characters because I'm not Black. That is a slap in the face of
Yep.
everybody.
Yep. And we get it all the time. We get it all the time. And they'll do it in ways that are just not really subtle because we know. Like when I write, so when I write under the Lacey Baker name, because that brand is so hallmarky, which is all white. So the majority of those readers are white readers. And so I'll always inevitably get reviews that are like, I don't understand why she kept talking about this girl's hair or what color her eyes are. Like, I don't really understand that. Like, why do we need to know the shade of her skin? Like, I don't get that because all of our skin ain't white like yours. Like, you don't get these things because it's not white. And you're very vocal about that. And all you're telling me is you just don't want anything if it's not white.
And that's unfortunate.
It's very,
they miss out on so much. They miss out on such good stories.
Yep.
I was shocked when I saw a white reader do a review of Jacoyle J's book, and even though
I think I saw that too. I saw a video and she was in because I swiped back. I was like, wait,
I was confused. I was confused. But even though that was the very male version of a review for a black book, it was the fact that she took the time to read the book, and not one time did she say I couldn't relate because those characters were black. Not one time.
And I mean, and I've had white readers that read and it's fine. Like they don't have that problem. And so I'm always saddened when I do get the ones that they do have that. Yeah, they do really feel like that. Like when I back to events, when I would go to the predominantly white events and I would manage to get on a panel with them. But then you're still sitting there talking around me like I can't possibly have anything to say because my book can't possibly be as good as yours.
Oh, I hope one day, and I'm going to put this out to the universe, I hope one day one of these bigger white book events put me as a moderator for a panel. I pray to all that is holy that you put me, and I don't even need to cuss or any of that. Just the fact that there are so many questions I want to ask them. Because so many people say they allies, but they really aren't.
Yeah.
So many people say I want black authors to be in the same spaces as me, but not too successful.
As long as you can stay under me.
Right.
As long as you can stay under me, you can come on and be in this panel, but you're not going to talk more than I am. You're not going to have your books showing if my books aren't showing. Like I'm gonna let you in this space, but on my terms.
See, that's a no-go. That's a no-go. But, I know I probably won't get on one of these panels because I'm going to offend a lot of people. Because I literally, when I ask questions, I would just want to know the truth. I want to know the core issue of the situation. But I want to hear your truth. I don't want to hear your PR answer.
Right, which you think that answer could be.
Right. That's why my questions are always so wrapped up that you have to give me the truth. That's what I want. So...
You don't want the I have black friends answer.
Girl, I might cuss you out then. I might drop the cards like, what you say? Did you just call me a nigga? That's what you just said.
That's what it sounds like to me.
That's what it sounds like. So do you believe the hurdles that have kept many black writers boxed into certain levels of visibility are still hard to break through, or is there finally room to bulldoze those walls?
Oh, I definitely think that there's room to bulldoze. But I also think that I say all the time, well, I don't say I say all the time because I don't always speak at all the events that I go to. But one of the things that I do say is that we are much stronger together. And with the numbers that we are pulling in now, together is a force. It's a force.
It is.
but also we have to come together to be that force. I think it's possible, but we have to be willing to come together. We have to not be in the mindset of this is my lane, I'm selling, I'm great, I and I and I and I and I. Like we have to be in the mindset of I told you that all of us, that Black writers could do this. I told you that Black romance sells. I told you that this could work. But even with me, just me saying that, I need all of us behind me saying that, not just me, because that's what's not being heard. It's not heard if just one person or just 10 people are saying this. When there are hundreds of Black authors who are making really big numbers, like doing the exact same thing that indie white authors are doing.
But I also want to say that a lot of indie white authors has got their inspiration from Black authors.
Yeah.
Without us talking about our cartels, our mafias, there would never been, because they weren't talking about the Irish mafia. They weren't talking about the Italian mafia. And that was the thing. They waited until people like Donna Goyne and Iceberg Slim and all these other people started really talking about the culture
in the Russian mafia, but not
Irish mafia. They and even that was tamed. When they saw us crossing barriers and lines, talking about our urban backgrounds or talking about these Black men and women that were basically the godfathers of the communities or the cities, then it was like a light bulb.
I think our urban backgrounds give an extra layer to the mafia stories. And I've read a lot of white mafia stories, Black mafia stories, and that is the difference. I'm always trying to figure out what other people think the difference is. Like, let me read these and see what I feel like the difference is. And I think our specific culture and our urban upbringing, it adds a different layer to our books. It gives it a different texture, and it almost makes it even more enjoyable than the others, because you're giving me The Godfather. And listen, I just watched The Godfather for the first time.
And that's one of my favorite movies.
Maybe 2 years ago, I finally just was like, let me just go ahead and look at that. Right. And that was like, and then I'm watching it. My husband's like, you watching that like it just came out. Why you keep looking at it now? It didn't just come out. It just came out for me, and I want to keep watching it. But to see our stories, told of our mafias, is different.
It is
different. It's a different layer. You are going to feel differently watching that. You're going to feel differently reading that.
You know what? I think the difference is they can't sit in the culture they're talking about because they never experienced the culture they're talking about. They can't sit. Yeah, you may have lineage that you're Irish, but have you been to Ireland,
right,
to experience what they're talking about? You say you're Italian, but have you been to Italy and experienced that? You say that you're Russian. Have you been to Russia? You're a byproduct of that culture, but you're not in that culture. Whereas African Americans, we sit in it, we breathe it, we live it, we exist in it. We can't turn around without our culture. No way, no how. So when a Black author writes about the culture, they are writing about the culture.
They're writing about the culture. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then they still don't understand. I've had editors ask me about stuff, and I'm like, I don't think that's right. You should change. This is not right. And at first I started out saying, okay, well, with all due respect, I am right. You really can't correct me here because I'm the Black person. You're not. And I'm just at a place where I'm like, look, just leave it. Just leave it. I'm not explaining to you. I would send back links and be like, this is a thing. This is where you find it. This happens. If I would say a word and they're like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, Yeah, okay, so there's this thing called the Urban Dictionary, and like if you follow this link, it's here. Now I just don't do any of that because I don't have time to teach you anything. Google is your friend. And
It's
you
the
are
emotional labor they want you to do.
right. You just don't want to know. You just want to tell me I'm wrong
Yeah.
because it's not what you know in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have time to be teaching you. I don't. Look, leave it alone. Don't change it. Go on with your business. Just leave it alone and stop asking me. And so now when I get new editors, I'm always they're like, well, do you have any tips for us? Yes, don't touch my dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Just don't touch it. Don't tell me it's not grammatically correct. I don't care. I wrote it exactly how I wanted it. I spelled it exactly how I wanted it.
You know what irritates me when I know a black author writes in AAVE. I know it. And then they get traditionally published, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
The language is so changed and watered down, it takes the culture out of it, if you get what I'm saying.
And sometimes that's because you're not comfortable saying leave it alone. Like I said, in the beginning, I was taking all the changes. You do have to get to a place where you're comfortable saying, all right, look, leave it alone. It's really just not wrong. It's really not. I don't need to change this. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
Because they do come in, and I was gonna say they don't do it on purpose, but yeah, they do. They do come in feeling like I know better than you. But you don't know better than me. You don't know how to be black because you're not black.
But they also do it to white.
You have more friends. You don't know how to be black.
They also do it to white country slang.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not the standard English that they know. It's not the standard English they went to college and they learned. And so anything outside of, well, you know, the Chicago manual style says, I don't care. It's not how I wrote this sentence. It's just not how I wrote it. Now I still work a full-time job, and I work for a federal judge. And so I am reading legal opinions all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
Writing is totally different. And when I'm reading those, I know what that's supposed to be. And so I am picking up the grammatical things. I am in the Chicago manual style because that's how this legal document needs to be written. But when I write my stuff, I'm going to need you to leave it all alone. Let it be. I submitted it just how I wanted it to be.
But they also think that AAVE is one type. They don't understand that every region, every state has different slang.
Yeah. And then they get confused. And this is why I tell them all the time. The easier thing for you to do is just leave it alone. Except if you don't understand it, that's fine. But really, just leave it alone.
That's, God.
It's not even hurting. It's not even taken away from the story. You're just picking it up because it's different to you. But it's really not hurting the story. It's not. You could leave it. It's not. It's not impacting the story at all.
And I just think these old fucking raisins that are leading the traditionally published wheelhouses, I think it's time for them to let some younger people in there and take over for them. But people, those idiots are only looking at the dollar amount. And they will allow people who are homophobic. They will allow people that are with DV, people who are racist, to come in and write these books and expect the readers to accept that. How are we to accept these people? But then again, you have people that think like them, you know.
And then they'll pick up, you want to change things of mine that you don't understand because it's a black thing. But then you let white authors write all the problematic stuff. All the problematic stuff. And all of y'all sit over there and act like, well, we didn't think it was a problem. You know. But I can't write some slang because that's a whole problem.
You know what's crazy? There are some white authors that do paranormal rape. And they get looked over because they didn't make it white enough. And then you have some black authors who do paranormal. You didn't make it white enough. And they never get looked at, but in the indie spaces, blow the fuck up.
Yep.
But the
Yeah,
white authors that blow up, they wind up getting the deals.
they get the big deals.
The black authors that blow up, they still are indie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's insane to me. That is insane to
Trying
me.
to start the Shadow Shifters. Um, it was crazy because I signed to St. Martin's, and St. Martin's had also done L.A. Banks's Vampire Huntress,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was really excited because I was like, "Oh, okay, they know what to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is going to really go somewhere." And I heard from a lot of people, "Oh, you shouldn't write in a different genre. You should just stay in contemporary. Just keep doing the Donovans for Harlequin. Like, don't do something different. You're gonna lose readers." And I did. I had a lot of readers tell me, "Yeah, black people don't like paranormal. Like we don't do that." I had so many black readers tell me that we don't do that. And so I did feel that. I did feel, a loss in readers when those paranormal books came out.
Mm.
But I was really excited to write these black Jaguar shifters. Like I was just excited to do it. I was reading so much white paranormal. Like they were doing all the things, and I wanted to be able to do those things. I was like, look, I can do this with black people. Like
I
black
needed
people.
that. You know what? As someone who reads paranormal, I read paranormal and fantasy, horrors, and sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and psychological. Those are my genres. I do read romance, like regular romance, but that is my genres. I had to read Lorelei,
Yep.
J.R. Ward. I had to read them. I had to read the Anita Blake series. I had to read all those books and just imagine them black.
Yep.
I had to read the Breed series because a lot of people don't even know about the Breed series from Lorelei. Those are the shifters that
Yeah.
shit that I had to read because I
Love the
didn't see
Breeds.
that.
I love the Breeds.
Every book.
And in reading them, we were like, these could easily be black people. Like
The
we
Carpathian
could
vampires.
do this. We could do this.
Yes. So I just think our people need to diversify their palette.
Mm-hmm.
Romance comes in all forms.
It does.
It does not always have to be contemporary or urban romance or even anything in between. It can be paranormal. There's romanticy. There's a lot you can do with romance. And I hate when people say
There's always romance and everything. I tell my husband all the time when we're watching a movie, I was like, it's going to be a romantic storyline here because there's always a romance. No, it's not. There's a whole action movie. Yep, but it's going to be a romance in here. I'm telling you because it always is a romance in here. I said because the romance storyline is what makes them human.
Exactly.
That's the human part. You can have all of this other stuff going on. You can have them shapeshifting into whatever they want. But the romance is what makes it human. It's what gives it the emotional tug that keeps you invested. Because why else do I care that they turn it into jaguars and eating people? Like, I don't really care. I don't really care. Unless you over here turning into a jaguar and stripping this woman down, then you got me. Then I need to figure out what else is going to happen.
Because, like, I right now am just trying to get every fucking paranormal author that I've interviewed to write a gargoyle book. I'm just, I'm trying to get everybody to write a gargoyle book. I want to have a plethora of gargoyle books.
I'm scared of gargoyles.
I've been in love with them since the cartoon in the 80s. I mean, in the 90s. So I need a Goliath in everybody's paranormal catalog.
That's all. I'm wait now and wait and see when I see one.
What?
Look, I gotta wait. I was just on a panel and somebody said they wanted to write something. I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was zombies or something. And I was like, ew.
But
I don't mean to say ew on the panel, but I was like, I don't know that I could do that. I don't think it was zombies. It was something else.
Lachey McCoy, she has a whole paranormal zombie romance series.
Really?
A black zombie romance series. Natavia, huh?
I'm scared of zombies. I didn't even watch, what was that show?
The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I did not. For a long time, I was scared of vampires. Like I was scared.
I know.
I was like, I can't write a vampire book because it's the blood. It's the blood thing that's just. Ugh.
Come on.
Read vampire books, but I was like, I don't think I could write this. And then when I wrote the dragons, I was like, oh, I need a good villain. like, let's make vampires the villains because I don't like vampires, so let's make them the villains. And then when I was writing them in that book, I was like, they kind of okay. Like I think they're kind of okay.
You, I love, and we don't even call them vampires. We call them vigors.
I think I saw that somewhere online.
We love a good vigor around these parts. We love a good vigor, and we love dragons and shapeshifters. I'm about woofed out.
Yeah,
I'm about tired of them. Y'all can wrap it up. Wrap it up.
I wrote wolves a while ago. My problem with wolves was like they really are dogs. Like how do I make this sexy? They really are just dogs, and I don't know how this is gonna be sexy. But you know what? But I like to write things that I'm afraid of. Like if I originally start out and like I don't think I can write this, then I like to just go ahead and write it, just to kind of prove to myself that I can.
Okay, prove to yourself you can write a gargoyle.
Oh, I knew you was gonna say that. As I was saying it, I was like, why she say that?
Prove to yourself you can write a gargoyle.
When I think of gargoyles, I think of those little things on with Quasimodo on what's that? The Hunchback. That's all I think of.
No, okay. I just go and watch the gargoyle cartoon.
I feel like I remember that.
Watch that and be like, you know what? These some Negroes right here. Some Negroes.
The key, I think, for me, the key to any being that I put in a paranormal is I have to figure out a way to make them sexy. Like how can this be sexy? Because if they can't be sexy, we can't do this.
I can look at Goliath, the cartoon character, as a teenager. It was like, damn, he fine as hell. That's a cartoon character. He fine as hell. Gray and all with wings and fangs. I'm like, damn. I was the same way with the Thundercats. I was like, God damn.
Not the Thundercats.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
It's possible.
It is. So, okay. What life lessons have become a core of your writing? Like whether that's the character building, the theme, or the purpose. What life lessons have really been the core of who you are as a writer?
I think I want to say change and not being afraid of change and accepting that things can be different. All of those things that make you have fear ruling your life. I think tackling all of those things, tackling fear, which is a daily process for me. I have been writing. My first published book was in 2006, 2005, 2006. And there are still things that that scare me about the industry, about my next project, about when this book is going to come out, how readers are going to accept this book. They're not going to like it. They're not going to like the cover. Like it's a daily thing. And that all goes with the change. Like we want the feeling that we're used to having. We want that feeling over and over again because it made us feel good. So we want it. That's the natural thing, is to want it over and over again. So we tend to do the same things that we did when we got it before, and not really accepting that, no, you got to change it up. You got to do something different to get a different result. So yeah, I'm still learning that lesson though.
Do you ever feel like literature can be one-sided or short-sighted when it comes to honoring the full breadth of Black storytelling?
I do, because I think that, like you said, we're not a monolith. Like there is so much depth and richness to our history and to the things that we have done. And I don't think that all of those things have been touched on. I think that, especially in mainstream literary spaces, I think that they tend to go to the things that they feel like are the most important things to them, to their bottom line, to what's going to make the most money for them. And that's not necessarily um, our entire story. That's not necessarily everything that is with us. And so when people say they don't want any more Black trauma, because mainstream spaces feel like that's the only part of the Black lives that makes money for them. And so you do feel like it's a lot of that because that's the thing that's making the money. But there's a lot to us, even without trauma. There's a lot to us. I remember hearing years ago, when Beverly Jenkins was writing her historicals, and people, authors were like, "Oh no, I don't put Black people in my historicals because Black people weren't happy then." Like, you should probably not say that because it's a crazy statement for you to make. But that's what they see. That's what mainstream sees. And so I do think that there's so much room for more of our stories to be told.
It's so it's so amazing to me that people are still on the trauma part, the struggle of myth, because that is a myth. Everybody have ups and downs.
Everybody.
And this that only Black people can do it. Why are we always thrown into the derogatory shit?
Whatever is derogatory, that's what we do.
I'm so baffled. Like, oh, it won't sell unless you put a lot of trauma in it because that's what Black people do. Huh?
And really what you can say is Black people do that well. Black people can write these books and they can write them well. They can write other books and write them well too. But what you're not going to ever do is want to give us our credit for what we're doing. If you feel like you see a lot of Black trauma books, maybe because we're doing them well. Maybe that's the answer. And it doesn't mean that we can't do Black joy well and we can't do Black dragons well. It doesn't mean that. But I think people, years ago, my bishop told me it's a lot easier to say the bad thing than to compliment somebody. It's a lot easier to find the fault in somebody than to speak on the good in somebody. And I feel like that's the state of the world. It's like if you turn on the news, like you're getting all the bad stories, and when they tell you something good, it's always the last 5 minutes. Because it's easier to fill up an hour of bad and give you 5 minutes of good.
That is true because trauma sells.
Yep, it sells. It sells.
It sells. So let me ask you about your interracial romance. Okay, so interracial romance often gets criticized in the book world, especially the Black book world, especially when written by Black women. What are the biggest misconceptions you want to dismantle when it comes to Black authors writing these love stories?
Like, we can write whatever the hell we want to write. Like, you need y'all to stop policing me and let me just write what I want. And I know that for me, the stories that I wrote that were interracial, like the ones, I think like the first two I did were like within the Donovan series. And one of the reasons I did that was because I have interracial relationships in my family. And I felt like if this is happening in everybody's family, somebody in your family, and you might choose not to speak to them anymore or what have you, but somebody in your family has been in an interracial relationship. And so if I'm writing this family series, it's logical that somebody in this series will have an interracial relationship. For me, that answer was yes. And so here we go. I did not write those stories to say, oh, I just want to have a white man on the cover and see, and, that might sell more. I just wrote it because I felt like that was a realistic thing. Interracial relationships are realistic things.
It is.
And they're gonna have a love story just like we have a love story. Like if I'm saying Black people can fall in love, and white readers should accept that Black people can fall in love, I have to also believe that a black woman and a white man can fall in love.
Yeah. I mean, look, I have never discriminated. Even with my husband, who is Afro Latino, I have never discriminated because if you busting my back out,
That's all that matters.
and you treating me like a princess,
Yeah.
you think I give a you could be an alien from Mars. If you're doing it right, tentacles and all, I don't give a shit.
And I don't, and I read interracial romance, and it was never, I never really felt like, oh, this is not the same type of story, because it was romance, or if it was paranormal, or if it was romantic suspense. Like I really did always feel like I'm still getting a good love story. Like, yeah, you told me he's white, and he do sound fine. Like, okay,
Hey, y'all better stop sleeping on those spicy whites.
I see why you want them.
Y'all better stop sleeping on them.
I get it. I get it.
So, for new and emerging authors out there, what's your advice on longevity and staying true to their voice, especially in such a crowded industry?
I think you need to um, read often, read widely, um, because you don't grow if all you know is you. All you know is what you write. How does your writing grow? And that doesn't mean, sometimes when I say that, I think people think I'm saying copy from other people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this is how you learn. This is how you learned in school, because you're reading these textbooks, you're doing these assignments. This is how you learn. This is how you grow. I think reading widely. I just believe everything. And I especially read stuff that if there's a lot of buzz about a book, I'm about to go read it. Because if it's getting buzz and it's good, I want to read a good book too. Why would I not want to read a good book? So I think one, reading widely, and then also knowing your voice. It took me a long time to find my voice and to not be in a space where I was always comparing what I was writing to other books that I was reading. Yeah. So because when I started, I was reading Nora Robinson, I'm reading Danielle Steele, and so every time I was writing, I was like, oh, look, does this sound like Nora Robinson? Like, is this, how long her chapters are? Is this what she would do? And so that wasn't me finding my voice. And so after a couple of books, I got more used to it. I trusted myself more. That's when you find your voice. When you can sit down and you can just write and not think about any type of comparison of your work to somebody else's, you're finding your voice. You're doing your thing. And what I like to tell authors too is nobody has your voice. Nobody has your voice. You can't copyright an idea. So somebody might come up with the same idea and write a story on that idea, but it's not your story.
Yeah.
Nobody knows your story. Yeah. And nobody has your voice. So you taking that idea and writing that book will be totally different than this book. I have read so many books that have the same themes, the same setup, the same character name. The books are different. I inevitably like one better than I like the other. The books are different because the authors, the voices are different, and so I receive it differently it's written in a different way. And it's so, again, like I said, read widely, read a lot. That's how you grow. And write where you're comfortable. Write wherever you feel comfortable.
Before I get into my last few questions, I want to know, what advice do you give indie bookstores? What advice do you give them to help them grow in regards to having more Black authors come to their stores and do book tours?
For the stores to go to the Black indie authors or Black
both. Both.
I don't know what the process is to looking into becoming a reporting store. I don't know if that's like a money process, like if that's like a roadblock. A lot of times that's how they keep us away from stuff.
Mm.
They try to put a big price tag on it. And if you are a struggling indie store, you can't pay that big price tag to do this big thing to get more in your store. And also advertising. I think a lot of times, even in my city, I don't know a lot of indie bookstores. And that could be my fault. That could be because I'm not like out on the streets looking for them. But a lot of times I think authors don't know that these stores are here and that these stores are actively looking to have us come in. Generally, authors want to go to bookstores and want to do book signings. That's because we're trying to sell books. Yeah. But if we don't know that you're open to hosting us, we don't know. So I don't know if it's more of a, how do they market directly to authors? I don't know how they would do that, but I would think it's a smart thing to do. Because if you don't know, and a lot of times and I will say a lot of the indie bookstores that I know about, I know because I've seen other authors touring there. So I know about this store because I've seen another author going there, or I've seen their name online. But I'm sure there's so many more. Yeah. It's hard to also for bookstores to order books if they're not with distributors like Ingram. And this is going to go back to when I say this is how they try to put things out of our reach. Ingram is mad expensive. So for a lot of indie authors, we choose not to have our books with Ingram. I know that bookstores will say this because even with my Lacey Baker books, when I was doing signings at the Hallmark store, and these were Hallmark books, and then when I had my own Lacey book, and they were like, "Well, is it with Ingram? Because if we can't get it with Ingram, then we can't sign it here." Oh wow! It's another roadblock because now I can't sign my book here, and it's because they can't buy the books for cost and then send the books back if the books don't sell by a certain time. So that's why they don't like it.
So that's what?
It's crazy.
Okay. It seems like every time I do an interview, I hear more and more roadblocks when it comes to y'all selling books or the bookstores, indie bookstores, y'all working together. It's wild. It's wild to me because I would think, you know what? No, I'm going to rephrase that. The traditional publishing houses are trying to put their foot on people's necks to keep the success from out of the hands of indies. I'm going to put it like that. I feel like they know if both parties link up, the masses that have been going to Barnes and Nobles, the masses that have been going to Second and Charles and Books A Million will only shop at indies because it's more beneficial for them because those are the authors they want to see.
Yep. And this is how you keep us in the box that you want us in.
That's insane. That is
even when, and this goes back to, we talked a little bit earlier about Shanoa Williams. Even when you're traditionally published, and you're traditionally published because you want the distribution, you're still not in the stores. You're still not in the store.
Yeah, because they only have when it comes to y'all, they only have 4 or 5 copies.
Yep.
And then they sell out those copies and they don't never get any more.
They never get any more.
I
go in the store and ask for the book, make them order it. Because what they're not going to do is they're not going to order one. So you go in, you put in an order for a book. They're probably going to order 3 to 5. But at least that's 3 to 5 on the shelf. And then you can send other people in to go buy those. Yeah. But because otherwise they just don't. They just don't.
That is insane to me. That is so insane to me. But am I surprised? No. No, I'm not surprised because this is a pattern with them. And it's unfortunate. I just want y'all to be in indie bookstores. It's like I just feel like y'all deserve y'all coins, but at the same time, Barnes and Nobles and the traditional book space, they're not gonna give you the coins.
Yeah.
And then indie publishers can only do so much.
They can only do so much.
It's this is so wild.
Indie bookstores, they have to take a gamble on if they take your books on this commission type scale, and then it's like, okay, well, how much am I going to pay for it? How much do I have to pay you for it? And are these still going to sell? And so some of them don't want to take that gamble because then they don't want to have all of this inventory that they can't move.
That shit is whack.
It is an uphill battle.
Whack.
Some days I say the easiest part of this game is just writing a damn book. Like, this is the easiest part of the game. Is just write the book, and that's hard. But trying to get the book out there and sell the book and get the book in front of readers is hard. It's really hard.
It is, and I'm the more I talk to you guys, the more I'm just like the resilience y'all have as authors to keep pushing through all the shit that's pushing back on y'all is commendable. You know what I'm saying? And then the fact that indie bookstores go through so much, and they have the spaces, they have the opportunity to have you guys in there. But here I'm finding out these mayo mayonnaise magnets out here is just, stopping everything. Just stop, pause.
Yep.
Oh, we're not going to have them be a recording bookstore to the New York Times bestsellers because, that's taking money from my big white author.
Yep.
That is so fucking stupid. That is so
wrong. It's wild.
And the crazy part about it, you hear, people say we shouldn't be having separate this or separate that. This goes back to saying maybe we need our own bestseller list because y'all motherfuckers are fucking this shit up. Maybe we need an indie bestseller list because clearly you have to go through fucking hoops and crucibles to even be on the New York Times bestselling list.
Yep.
So fucking whack.
It's an uphill battle. And I think, and what's really crazy is there are authors who are selling more than authors who are on the New York Times bestseller list.
I keep saying Kenya Wright is a force to be reckoned with. She is a 6-figure author who is IR, and she is not traditionally published. She is not.
And they aren't beating down her door to get her. But they are I know that they are white authors who they are beating down their door to get their books. I know that there's a white influencer, and she has a huge following on TikTok, and she wrote her debut book, and that book was not out. It wasn't out 2 weeks before she took it down because they came to her and bought that book so that they could publish the book.
That is wild.
Just because, one, she's white, and two, she has a huge following on TikTok. When you have authors out here who have been writing and submitting, and you have been rejecting and rejecting and rejecting. And it's not because she's a better writer. That's not the answer. It's not. It's not. Insane. Honestly, she's mediocre if I'm being really, really nice. But she gets the deal. And you gave her a 6-figure deal.
I know you fucking lying.
It's crazy. It's crazy. For a debut, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then you can write for years and years and years and submit. And they reject.
I'm trying to figure out, none against people who like write memoirs or anything like that. They be really the only ones that stay on the New York Times bestseller list.
That's because people know.
I mean, I'm glad you want to tell us about your life. Well, not really, because I don't care. But
but it's so many people that do. Like that nosiness gets people, and so
Ugh.
a lot of autobiographies of people, or people that I like, or people that if I ever get into reading autobiographies, I know I'll read theirs. So I just buy autobiographies of people I like, and then I have them on my shelf, but I'll never read them. But I think people want them just so they can be nosy. And I feel like, look, my life is traumatic enough. I don't need to read nobody else.
Right, I don't need to read your trauma.
No.
That's crazy. All right. So, what upcoming book signings or events will you be attending? And I hope one day you attend the Boozy Book Tour.
So I have this book tour. I have that fantasy ball thing on my calendar. Like
I was, I was gonna ask.
I have it on my calendar to remind myself to register that day, to sign up that day. And then look, I put a star on it because I was like, well, you gotta hurry up because you don't want all the spots to be gone. Like you can't.
Girl, let me tell you something. Because we get people in the DMs like, you're not gonna do no early forms.
That's why I was like, let me jump on here. I said I gotta tell myself, maybe jump on here early. As soon as you get up, just jump on there and see if it's up, and then just go ahead and sign up. I will be. We just added some stuff. We added some local bookstore stuff. I'll be at Mahogany Books. I'm going to the house party in July in Carolina, and then I'll be at Mahogany Books there. Black Books Matter Festival, August 2nd. The week after that, I'm doing a romance day at Park Row Books. Both of those are here Mahogany is in National Park. And then where am I going after that? I'm going to the Black Book Bash in Jacksonville in October. Yeah, Jacksonville in October. And then right after that, the week after that, I'll be at Southern Hearts in South. And then I think I'm finished for the year because it's a lot.
Yeah, I'm finished for the year. So where can we find your books? Are they available wide, exclusive to certain platforms, or in bookstores?
I have a few that are in Kindle Unlimited, not that many, but I'm actually getting ready to put that the Donovan Secret Sun series in Kindle Unlimited. So most of my books are available wide. And if I can ever get my life together, I do have my own store that I never talk about because I never really do anything with it. So a lot of my books are there. And that's it. Oh, but I do have that dark academia romantic kind of book coming out in December.
Whoa. What?
Published, so that'll be everything.
What? Let's talk about that. Now what?
They gave it. They have so it's with Entangled Publishing. The title is Heart of Ruin. They have it in a lot of genres. For me, I feel like it's dark academia with a touch of romanticy. It's casters and voodoo and African witchcraft, and
So you out here slinging Orishas and
yeah, just a little bit, yeah. And see, this is what I'm saying by it comes out in December. Have you heard anything about it?
no.
Yeah.
That's why I'm looking shocked. Like, what you mean? Well, I volunteer my service to be a part of your street team.
This is what they do because when it's a white book, you hear about it a year and a half before.
Yeah.
And when it's our books, you'll hear about it eventually. And then by that time, it's getting ready to release. And they'll say, oh, you didn't do good on pre-orders. Because nobody knew. Like, I can only do so much. Nobody knows about this book. Because I can post it on my page. But I don't have that many followers. Like, I don't have, I can put it in my newsletter. So my reader base, they know. But the rest of the world, because you don't say anything. And I legit almost forgot to say something here, but I'm glad I did.
I promise you, send me the information. The Book Readers Venue, that's a bookstore in Humble, Texas. Send her the information. Shannon, she owns her own bookstore, the Literary DFW. Send her the information because, ma'am, you know how many times we have been screaming for a dark academia book from a Black author? The last one we got was Immortal. I'm
not gonna say her name because I'll say it wrong and I'll feel bad.
But that book, that was the last dark academia Black author book we got. What the? Entangle Publishing. Y'all gotta do better. Y'all got to do better. What the fuck? Wow. Immortal Dark.
December 2nd. It comes out.
December 2nd? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Like in about 5 minutes. And nobody's heard anything.
I have never heard of you coming out with this book. That's wild.
Now, since you said you never heard about it, now I'm going to have to post about it tomorrow. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to get off here and I'm going to feel like, girl, you're not doing enough. She ain't even heard about your book. Like, you got to do more. And that's what happens is then I'm in a place of, I got to do all the things because they're not going to do the things for me.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Entangled Publishing, a traditionally publishing place, is not. I think they have me in that goddamn influencer group, and all I see is white authors. The last book was Never List or whatever her name is. I got that book.
You're gonna see it September-ish, October-ish. You'll see something about it. And for me, I feel like that's pretty late in the game.
It is.
And you set me up to be in a place where, your pre-orders weren't great. Because nobody knows. If nobody knows about this book, how do they pre-order this book? And if you always wait until 2 and 3 months before the book comes out to even start to say stuff about the book, you're already setting me up for failure. Like, you're setting me up to fail.
I knew about that other book a year in advance. I knew about that book. They had revealed the cover in the group. They were talking about that book. The author came into the group talking about the book. I knew about that book a year before it came out. And pre-orders was like 8 months before the book came out.
And I'm saying it like, I'm like, hey, when are you going to do something? And what are we going to do? Like, what's the plan here? What is the plan? And the answer is, we're coming. The plan is coming. But because I've been in the game so long, I know what that means. I know when it's coming. I know what you're going to do, and I know when you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's me up for failure because it's going to be too little too late.
Yeah. And
then the things that I can do on my end still may not be enough. I don't have the reach that they have.
Yeah.
You know, I can hire a publicist, which I've done, but I still don't have the reach that they have. I don't have the money that they could put behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any of that. Shanora Williams has a romantasy coming out with Entangled. October something. So you didn't know that one either?
What?
Wow. This is what I'm saying. And hers is coming out in October. But our spaces, the readers who are going to really go out and support this book and buy this book, are not going to know about this book until it comes out. And then it's going to look like, yeah, they didn't do great in pre-order numbers. And a lot of book buyers will look at numbers like that when they're deciding what they're going to buy from this publisher for the next year.
Mm.
And so when an author ends up not having books in the store, they're like, yeah, because it didn't do good pre-order. This book that was Black too didn't do good pre-order numbers. So we don't want to order that many of the Black book.
It is so exhausting when you are a fantasy reader that loves black
Yeah.
fantasy or black paranormal. It is so exhausting because I know it's exhausting for y'all, but
Mhm.
it's exhausting as a reader when you are looking, I mean, hard for these books
And you can't find it.
and you can't find them. Black paranormal fantasy readers, we go through so much trying to find y'all, especially when y'all traditionally published, because these motherfuckers don't give a damn.
And we go through so much just trying to get it traditionally published. You don't know.
Whew, Jesus, that
It
shit is fucking annoying.
is. It is.
Oh my god.
And
So,
you can say, okay, let's just do it indie. Like I have 2 projects
mm-hmm,
that didn't get picked up traditionally. And so there's always a conversation of, okay, do you want to do this indie? But I feel like it's a struggle enough to try and get this traditionally published black fantasy out in the world. How am I going to do it with an indie book? The time and energy that it's going to take. And I'm doing a lot of things. Like I write as 2 people and I have the event and it's a lot of things. And so I'm not going to put something out that I don't feel like I have 100% focus and time and energy to put into really, really launching this book. So I don't know. I don't know if those 2 will see the world. I'm really excited about Part of Ruin, though. It's a duology. So we'll get 2. But I'm really, really excited about them.
I want to read it. Look, when we get off here, make sure you send me a picture of the book and a little blurb so I can make a video for it for tomorrow morning, because that's insane. Insane to me. And I have 2 more questions and then I'm gonna do your outro.
Okay.
The next question is, what you doing One Love? What does One Love mean to you in the sense of being in the book space and representing not only yourself as an author but also as a reader?
One Love means that comfort, that come home. You know how you move out, you can't wait to move out, but when you go back to home for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, that comfort you feel, that, I mean, obviously we have all that drama and stuff too, because family, but it's still that comfort.
Yeah.
And all year long, you're looking forward to that comfort, that safeness. Yeah. That's what my love is. It's that space that you're looking all year long just to go back to this safe space. And like I said, it's a space that I felt like we needed. Years ago is a space that my team and I have worked really, really hard to cultivate. And so we're really proud of it. We're proud of the direction that we're going in the future, the things that we have planned for the future. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. When is the next One Love?
One Love is July 22nd through 25th, 2026.
Okay.
And we're going to New Orleans. So we go to a different city every year. So we're going to New Orleans. You look, you ain't know that either. I must be terrible about sharing news. Yes.
But you know what? I really don't be paying attention to shit. I ain't even finna hold you. I be so wrapped up in these damn reviews and podcasts, and I don't be really paying attention to nothing until Shannon and them tell me, like, hey, this event is happening or this is going on. But honestly, I don't be paying attention.
We were actually one of the cities we were talking about going to was Savannah. So when I saw yours, I was like, wait a minute, this is a fantasy ball and it's in Savannah, and I've never been to Savannah. Like you don't know all the stars I have next to that date when that registration is open, so I can get it.
Yeah, we had to up because TK Richards, thank her, because TK Richards kept coming into live. I think y'all need to make the date up. Y'all need to up the date. Not November, do it in October. This she was like, oh, do it in September. I said, now we on compromise with October now. The fuck.
I appreciated the date change.
Yeah, she was like, make it. Then she was like, make it September. I said October.
Well, I
Jeez,
got it for October.
like damn. So it'll be October 28th at 6 a.m.
And don't let me miss it because I'm gonna be right in your DMs. You sure it's not a spot? I know. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Oh my God, you sound like Shelly P in Chicago.
I
Like, but yeah, it's gonna be first come first serve. 75 slots.
Oh my gosh. You sure not 80?
75 slots.
But look, I'm an early riser, so I'm telling you, I'm gonna be right there.
It's only 75 slots. We not going 80. We ain't doing 90. It's 75.
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it my best shot.
Central Standard Time. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you said that because I sure would. See, look, I would be late because I would be logging on at Eastern time.
Because when we get close to our Chicago event,
Mm.
well, actually, no. After we finish with Arlington, we're promoting Chicago as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to really be pushing, hey, October 28th. October 28th.
All right. I'm going to be there. Or I can always just crash it. I mean, I'm just
Not
saying.
the crashing of the
I tell people all the time, you don't always have to invite me to events as an attending author. Yes, I love to go to events as an attending author. But if I really, really just want to be there, I'm going to just buy a ticket and show up. Because I want to be there.
That's funny.
I have to sell books because I'll just show up.
I think we're going to have a nice lineup. I do, from the interest that we saw. But I also see that it's going to be over 75 authors it's going to put in interest forms. Because it's not applications, it's just interest forms.
Oh, you definitely going to get more than 75.
So I already, Shannon see it, I see it. I was just like, oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
So 75 people, 75. That's it.
Okay.
So, yes. So, are we gonna get any book boxes from you? Any other type of merch? Curated special editions?
I have to tell you, I'm terrible at all those things. I'm really terrible. And my team is always like, you need to be doing this, and excuse me, and you need to be doing that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's another thing. I cannot. I just am trying to write these words. I do have a box now that pre-orders are still open for the Donovan Secret Son special edition box.
What's in that box?
So the 8 books that comprise the Donovan Secret Sons, they were in 2 volumes. So you're getting 8 books. You get 8 stories in 2 big, gigantic volumes. It's crazy. You get the Donovan Family Scrapbook, which is a great book that just chronicles all the books from the beginning, with pictures and character art. You get a glass from the winery. One of the Donovans married a man that was one of the interracial books. She married a man who owned a winery. So you get a glass from the winery, stickers, bookmarks, whatever else I can stick in that box. And the box is gorgeous. The box is gorgeous.
How can we pre-order?
You can pre-order at this shop that I have that I never promote. Inspired by AC. Shopify, Inspired by AC at Shopify. I think that's it. I just told you the wrong thing. I'm gonna type it in. Okay, yeah. Inspired by AC .myshopify.com.
Okay.
I'm telling y'all I'm terrible at this. I just like to write books.
I'm writing this down and my husband about to cuss me out because he just bought me Aisha Bree's book when she was on live yesterday, and I know he's sick of me.
Oh, Strummed?
I got the King's Dynasty. She was having a special yesterday, and she came on the live. We was on the live, and she came up there and she was like, she having a special on these books. So all of us on the live, being the book whores that we are, while she was talking to us, we were on our phones like this, right, just buying books.
Yep.
So yeah, that happened. So I'ma just, be extra nice
Thank you.
and get me a book, pre-order me a book box.
Okay.
I like book boxes. I got a lot of them. I like book boxes.
I like them. I think they're so pretty. I see other people's and I'm like, oh, I want that. I want that. And then I'm like, where am I keep all this stuff at? Like, where am I gonna store all of this stuff?
I have to redo my whole library because I don't have enough space.
Because you keep buying book boxes.
No, it's not the book boxes, it's books.
Mm-hmm.
And now my husband is upset because he got to move all this stuff out so I can redo it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I thought these bookshelves was gonna work, but I should have got the taller ones.
I used to really just love print books. But again, as I've gotten older, my eyes are just like, man, you cannot be staring at a computer all day and then read a book. Like those words be dancing across the page. I'm like, I don't really know what this says.
She said dancing.
And then I started reading the Kindle because I can make it bigger, it can be brighter. And then somebody was like, have you ever listened to audiobooks? I was like, Lord, I might never read again now. So
So
I can listen while I'm cleaning, I can listen while I'm walking, like
true.
I mean
True. So give us your socials so we know where. Do you have a Patreon? Do you have a Facebook group? Or
I
any
am at AC Arthur Books on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I also have a reader group on Facebook, AC Book Lounge on Facebook.
Okay. So I'm finna do your outro. I'm gonna do some housekeeping, and then I'm gonna let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your evening. So prepare for the 4th of July.
Go to sleep. That's the enjoyment for the rest of the evening.
Oh, okay. We can do that too. So, AC Author is more than an author. She's a testament to what passion, creativity, and cultural care can do on the page. She's giving us romance that feels like legacy, characters that feel like kin, and worlds that reflect both the fantasy and reality of Black love and interracial. As you dive into her catalog or reread a favorite, remember, these stories are more than just books. They're blueprints of the Black woman, of what Black women deserve: love, magic, complexity, and joy. Thank you, AC, for blessing us with your voice today. And as I always say, stay loved, stay loud, and stay Black on motherfucking purpose.
Oh, thank you. I'm about to hire you to write my bio for real.
When you the second after the
The way I be struggling to write a bio, I'm about to hire you.
Look, I can write a good blurb and all that stuff, but when it comes to motherfucking writing a book, I ain't your person.
It's cool. Look, we all play our strengths.
I could